It's a pleasure to be part of this campaign. I've been hearing about it for a long time, and I'm really excited to be featured. My name is Justin Bryant. I'm originally from just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm 28 years old, 29 next month. So, thankfully, I've had the privilege to be involved in data governance discussions through the work that I've been doing at the Datasphere Initiative. And I love it, and I love being able to kind of see how my ideas are able to actually influence the perspectives of policymakers and other stakeholders who I talk to, and be able to engage with them and call some of them my colleagues and even my friends, right? So in that sense, I don't really see this being about me, right? As somebody already on this trajectory who speaks to these kinds of people from all over the world on a regular basis, I want to be impacting younger people more and helping open avenues for them, especially from communities that would never get their voices in the ears of decision makers like those. I want to be able to make the pathways to viable careers and engagement with this space easier for somebody who was in my position maybe like 10 years ago when I was just starting college and thinking about how am I going to be able to chart a career in digital policy? How will I make an impact in this space, and where will that be? I could take a couple approaches to this question, but I think I want to direct this at my own country, the United States. So I live in the U.S. and there are so many bright minds in our government. I have the pleasure of interacting with several of them. Many of them are my friends now. And in Congress, it feels like the discourse around America's digital future is largely driven by sensationalism, embarrassment, tribalism, and fear-mongering, rather than trying to create genuine safety, justice, and inclusion for folks from all walks of life. And I'd like to just encourage policymakers to understand that crafting the digital environment is just as important a national project, not more so, than building the interstate highway system, right? Rather than trying to score points on foreign adversaries and domestic enemies, right? I wish that some of our government officials and Congress people would take the responsibilities to future generations of Americans whose lives they're directly impacting, whose economies they're setting the parameters for, and whose children's welfare are at stake, that very, very seriously, right? And with the level, of responsibility that deserves. I think all over the world you have politics that can become, show and theater and things like that. But I think when it comes to the digital future and the digital society, these are very, very important questions. And I just wish sometimes that would be approached with the level of seriousness required for that. I am indeed aware of such initiatives. And in fact, I'm leading one of them. And we call it the Global Sandboxes Forum at the Datasphere Initiative. At the Global Sandbox Forum, what we're trying to do is one, create a world in which any government official or interested stakeholder has the tools to stand up a sandbox wherever they may be. Now, and I haven't defined what a sandbox is, right? A sandbox, there are many definitions out there of sandboxes. How we think of sandboxes are collaborative environments for policymakers, technologists, business folks, all sorts of stakeholders to come together toward setting either digital regulatory direction, coming up with product feature advancements or things like that. Basically just creating these multi-stakeholder safe spaces that are time-bound experiments where we can capture the best of expertise toward setting standards for what we want to do and the change we want to implement in society, right? In the Global Sandboxes Forum, we're particularly interested in use cases that are involving artificial intelligence and sustainability, which we think are two of the primary concerns that we should be focused on in today's world. And I took a look at the SDGs quickly before you asked me this question, and so I wanted to kind of map which SDGs fit within the context of the Global Sandboxes Forum. So SDG 9 focused on industry, innovation, and infrastructure. I think that absolutely hits right on with what we're trying to do there in terms of creating new forms of data value creation. SDG 11 sustainable cities and communities, wanting to improve the lived experience of people in cities and communities, and sustainable interventions for livelihood. 13, climate action. We're very focused on leveraging data for climate and experimentation about how to bring together public and private sector data sets for climate innovation. And 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, right? This collaboration that happens in these sandboxes is directed toward mechanisms for upgrading the institutions that we see across the world that might be antiquated at the moment, and creating more agile frameworks to responsibly unlock the value of data for all. Great question. And I think, this conversation has been coming up in a variety of spaces, right? I think fundamentally, we need to understand that much of the content that we see online is a distortion or has high potential to either be a somewhat altered reality or not just the full story or straight up false, right? And tons of folks, myself included, look online and try to use that as the barometer for what we should be, right? And that's not fair to each of us, right? Because what we see online often can be the most polished version of what somebody wants to put out there. And so for teenage girls, this may be like TikTok videos or Instagram reels or Instagram posts that have these beautiful young women that look a certain way, but that's not how they really look, right? And so these girls think that that's how they're supposed to look and feel inadequate because that's not that's not how they look, and thinking about something wrong with me, right? Or for me, I experienced it personally on LinkedIn when I see my friends posting, oh, they've achieved this and they've achieved that. And I feel like, oh, professionally, am I behind my cohort? Is there something that I'm missing? When sometimes I'll hear people say those things about me as well, right? And I think it's just important to understand that perception is reality, and we're all internalizing a lot of nonsense online that is not reality and that we shouldn't take to be reality. That also dovetails into a point on identity, right? I think who we are and understanding who we are collectively, we need to develop stronger senses of identity that are rooted in something deeper than beauty, wealth, or status, or the things that we can find online, right? And for me, my faith in knowing that I'm a child of God and I'm always good by Him helps me when I start to kind of like experience that inadequacy. And I think that faith communities can play a huge role in helping with mental health of young people in establishing that identity. But outside of faith communities, which I think it's sad that many of them are on the decline in a lot of the world, but family and other communities can also help provide that sense of belonging and inherent value in young people that can be a shield against this onslaught of mental health attacks that we're seeing online. I think that young people have so much power and so much creativity, and I'm so excited about what this generation of young people can do and where they're going to take our world once we give them the space to be amazing and lead. So yeah,